Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep today into the life of St. Columba, a major figure, really, in early Celtic Christianity. And we'll be working with, his biography, written by St. Adam, who was the 9th abbot of Iona.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine? Adam Limon grew up in the very monastery that Columba founded.
That's incredible. The stories he must have heard just growing up in that environment, steeped in Columba's legacy. Talk about a unique perspective.
And for anyone listening, especially devout Catholics, we're focusing on why St. Columba still matters today.
Yeah.
What makes him a hero?
Yeah.
Especially those confrontations with the Druids, right?
Such a great question. And to really get that, you have to picture 6th century Ireland. Christianity is this new force, and the Druids are powerful, deeply connected to nature, the old ways.
So Columba's arrival, it wasn't just about religion. It's like two whole different ways of seeing the world clashing.
Exactly. And Columba himself, he's born into nobility, could have had an easy life, power, all that.
Right.
But instead, he chooses a life dedicated to Christ.
And that dedication led to some pretty amazing stories. Like there's one about a battle in Ireland. Columba's miles away in Britain, but he describes it perfectly. Wow. He even names the kings involved. It's like he's right there.
These prophetic visions, they're more than just, tricks. Describing a battle from afar, foreseeing someone choking years before it happens, this helped establish Columba as someone truly touched by God, operating on a whole other spiritual level.
Now, those stories are fascinating, but for me, the real drama is with the Druids.
Oh, I agree.
It's like David and Goliath, but faith versus powerful magic.
You have to understand, the Druids weren't just like fortune tellers. They advised kings, interpreted dreams. They were the link between humans and the spirit world.
So to challenge them, that was challenging everything in Celtic society.
Exactly.
And Columba does just that. Goes to meet King Brude. And the king, probably on a Druid's advice, he bars Columba from his fortress.
Really?
Yeah. Seems like Brude wanted nothing to do with Christianity.
Think of the courage that took, going into a land where your beliefs are unwelcome, the old ways so strong. But he persisted.
It makes you wonder, what drove him? Was it just about converting people or something deeper?
It's a good question. We know he miraculously opens those fortress gates, eventually wins Brude over. Was it faith alone? Or other things at work?
Who knows?
No.
But that meeting with Brude, it's seen as a huge turning point for Christianity in Pictland.
Absolutely.
And then there's Broichon, King Brude's top druid.
Oh, yeah.
Not just debates. Broichon actually tries using his power to stop Columba.
Is that right?
Yeah, the story says he conjures this wind against Columba. But Columba prays, the wind changes. Like something out of a fantasy novel. But for believers, it shows faith winning out.
Powerful.
But Broichon, he doesn't give up, imprisons a young girl like a challenge to Columba. And so Columba prays again, and Broichon gets this terrible illness.
It's more than just good versus evil or magic versus miracles. It shows the power of prayer, the belief that God acts in our world. It gives hope.
And what happens next? Even wilder. Columba sends Broichon this white stone. It's blessed and it floats.
Get out.
I know, right? Broichon drinks water that's touched this floating stone, and he's healed.
That's significant. More than just healing, it symbolizes Christian compassion, overcoming those darker aspects of the Druids.
Yeah, for devout Catholics, that's powerful. God's power working through Columba, defeating the old ways, bringing healing.
Absolutely. These stories are often seen as Christianity winning over paganism, but it also raises some interesting questions.
Like, what did spiritual authority actually mean back then? Did people see this as proof the Christian God was better? Or was it more complicated?
Great question. It's tempting to see it as, Christianity good, Druidism bad, but it was probably much more nuanced than that.
And that complexity is what makes this whole period and Columba's part in it so fascinating to explore.
Yeah, for folks back then going through that change, it wasn't always so black and white.
Right.
Maybe fear, maybe doubt, but also like awe at those miracles Columba's doing.
It makes you think, the pressure on Columba. He's not just preaching ideas, he's offering a whole new way to see the world, how to relate to God.
And that leads us to Iona, the monastery he founded. It wasn't just prayer and quiet time.
Right.
It became a center of learning, spreading the faith, sending missionaries out all over Scotland and beyond.
It's funny, thinking about those big clashes we talked about and then daily life at Iona, I read it was super strict.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of prayer, work in the land, copying manuscripts. Not exactly a vacation.
True, it was all about humility, putting God first. But not all grim. There's this story, Columba blesses some land and crops sown after midsummer, way too late, they get harvested in August.
Wait, midsummer planting, August harvest. That's messing with nature.
Exactly. It shows his spiritual power, asking God to make the impossible happen. For devout Catholics, that reinforces how strong faith is, how God works through people for miracles.
It also says holiness isn't just being good, it's using what you've got to help others. Columba didn't hide on Iona. He's dealing with kings, arguing with Druids, sending monks to spread the word.
He's a real hero in that way. Not just receiving God's favor, he's out there making change happen, fighting for what he believes.
And it's not just those big showdowns. Think of the guts it took to go to new places, face people who might hate your message.
Right. Way harder than just talking to folks who already agree with you. Columba did that over and over, never backing down.
What kept him going? Divine purpose. Just rock-solid faith. Or both.
Good question.
It's these qualities in Columba that make him worth thinking about, even now.
Oh, absolutely.
He makes us ask, what are we willing to stand up for? What sacrifices will we make for our beliefs? It's a call to action. Live your faith, not just talk about it. Be a force for good, even when it's hard.
Powerful stuff, especially these days when faith is often questioned. Living it out openly can be tough. Columba shows us you can stay true to yourself, make a real difference, even surrounded by people who disagree.
One person with that much faith, changing things so much. It's inspiring. It makes you wonder about how spiritual authority worked back then. What gave Columba the right to shake things up, convert kings, take on the Druids?
That's layered for sure. Those miracles, they definitely mattered. People saw him healing, knowing the future, controlling nature.
It'd be hard not to see that as a sign from God.
Right, and it wasn't just the acts, it was how he used them to heal, protect, guide. Not for himself, but for others.
Exactly. That unselfishness is key. People saw he wasn't in it for fame or power. He cared. And that, plus his link to God, gave him a kind of authority no king could match.
Right on.
Which brings us back to the beginning. Why is Columba a hero for us today?
Well, his story's got a lot of answers to that. First, courage. Sticking to your beliefs, even when it's tough, even challenging the powerful.
He was a true trailblazer, going to new lands, but also new spiritual territory to spread that message of hope and redemption.
And his life proves how strong faith is. It's not just sitting there believing. It can change the world, heal people, make them the best they can be.
And lastly, I think Columba shows us being a hero isn't always flashy. It's the everyday service, the prayer, the learning, building a loving community.
Those things matter just as much now as they did back then.
So as you think about St. Columba, ask yourself, what parts of his story really hit home? What can you learn from him? How can you be a hero right now in your own way?
That's something to chew on. Hopefully it sticks with you even after this deep dive is over.
It's easy to get caught up in those big moments, right? The showdowns, the miracles.
Yeah.
But Columba's dedication to that monastic life, the prayer, the scholarship, there's something heroic about that too.
It's the quiet heroism, and that might be what speaks most to devout Catholics today. That discipline, building and leading a community like Iona,
right.
Giving your life to prayer, study, helping others. It's at the core of being Catholic, even now.
It's amazing how those everyday things, copying texts, farming, caring for the sick, those were like essential parts of their faith.
It wasn't just save yourself. It was build something for God, spread the word. Every little thing they did had that deeper meaning.
And it went beyond Iona, too. Columba, his monks, they're out there preaching, healing, comforting people, not just living it for themselves, sharing it.
Right.
That's heroic, too, I think, especially now. Faith's challenged. It's hard to be open about it sometimes. But Columba shows us you got to be that light. Share what you believe bravely, kindly.
Absolutely.
One guy with that much faith, changing so much, it makes you think, what made him so authoritative? Why did people listen? Kings convert, Druids back down.
It's complicated. The miracles helped, for sure. Seeing someone heal, know the future, it's like proof, right?
Hard to argue with that kind of power.
But it's how he used it. Not for himself, always to help. That matter.
Right, not selfish. People saw that. He cared. Plus that connection to God, that gave him authority. Even kings couldn't touch.
It's true.
So, back to the start. Why is Columba a hero and abbé?
Well, his story tells us a lot. Courage, sticking to your beliefs no matter what, even challenging the powerful.
He was a pioneer, literally going to new lands, but also spiritually spreading hope and redemption.
And his whole life shows how powerful faith can be. Not just believing, but making change happen, healing, inspiring others.
And I think it reminds us, being a hero isn't always huge actions.
Yeah.
It's the small stuff, too. helping out, praying, learning, building that loving community.
And those things matter now more than ever.
They do. So thinking about St. Columba, what sticks with you? What can we learn from him? How can each of us be a hero in our own time? That's something to really think about, hopefully long after we're done here.
Couldn't have said it better myself.